Hello everyone, this is Theta Sigma, also known as AO Pictures, and changing the lo-fi beat at the moment. Going back to working on stuff. Worked on this for a bit. It's like a scalar stat system. It's gonna need some progress towards trying to work on sums of derivative, so derivative function can go past into prime activity and omega activity. But I don't know if it's even the right decision to make. If I base it off a ternary, that could go too much in par with cardinals, but I'm not really sure. So I'm gonna work on something else for a while. I'm gonna train myself to figure out stuff. So you're sometimes wandering on a road, leading yourself back to exactly where you were before, but then you go into a different place, and it's like repetition. You do always go back to the same place, but it's never the same. But it's a different same or a different. But if the first derivative changes, then the whole story takes a different compound effect and rearranges itself like combinatorial structure, or goes through a next gen evaluation, second awakening for Guild Spire. And you inadvertently create a nested meta version of what was before, but it doesn't really do the same thing, and it seems more like a homebrew, but it should be treated as more. It's like should inadvertently create inverted perception that feeds everything outward like rumors and takes its effects to reverse the polarity. But this hurts time and it hurts the linear connotation, so you need chronology waves. To outperform that system, you need the actual wave set algorithm to do similar stuff, but take the effect of the waves. It's two-dimensional almost. When you take new next-gen tags, and they're kind of like the engine for how things work, but not important at the moment. I need something else to focus on. Let's say we have a nested mall in the center of the city, and this mall has tiny guilds through this area, and this is a 3rd to 5th place, but depending where you are in the mall, you have a different connotative representation of how the place feels, and then you kind of go into non-linear termination of thought process, but it still returns unexpectedly. So, but this mall is kind of like a masonry place, but it's not based on masonry. It's kind of like you'll have places where you have like rooms where the stores can meet up, or stairs that lead to theaters and stuff, but inadvertently has underground area, kind of like underground New York, and has like a premature area underneath. But thinking about how this business structure can work is that you have people, supervisors, managers, assistants, accountants that are on top tier 2 level, tier 2 instead of tier 0, and everybody has a sort of equality, and that is treated almost like on par level, but not anymore. It's tier 2, so you have people making around the same amount of money in different forms. Depending on the hour, you have a little bit more or less, depending on wave-like numbers. That's the importance of the structure, and it's determinate. So some people may make a little bit more or less depending, but still always linear, because we can't really go away from the linear process of continually the continuance of entropy. We're fascinated with entropy because we think that's better and that's success, but it's just information in a system. Our social value is measured by entropy and derivatives, when it should be based off of complex algorithm. Well, it doesn't have to be. If we're obsessed with entropy, it's only going to lead to one area. It's going to lead to absolution, which is a repetitive path, but even that could be wrong. It could be true once or twice, but not many times. But enough of that. Moving on. So, for 14th grade, Mr. Garcia, I'm gonna lead you through new their modular step sizes that are modular in language, not in numbers. So you have like mod of knots, and it forms into a compounded structure like Boolean, but it doesn't have to be compounded like that, but it does kind of create like a substructure language that could be invented in a new way, but it's used to interpret other modes of communication, like of mod not could be otherian, could be used. It's like a speed guild term. But we don't use like guild language here. That's a little bit for older time or younger time. So we use actual counts, deducible quality. So we kind of use like a hexagonal structure for, not even hexagonal, it could be random, actually random, not random, but sort of like a puzzle that was created to be not working for the casual pretense. So it's like unmeasurable and kind of like segs or Iendos or Yodelas or Sakulos or Novums or Placers or directional dialogues, branches, determinants, indefinifiers. I'm not really sure. But using this, you can go through a feedback process to go exactly back to where you were before in a new way. At least you think you are, until you figure out later that it was almost absolute nonsense, until the point that you figured out it wasn't. So, well, you have multi-optional thought processes for language. There's like 3 or 4 optional ways you can verse a conversation. There's not one actual way you feel the conversation could go, because it's kind of like a radio. You hear from many ways, and sometimes you get an interference pattern that is wrong or right, but it's not either wrong or right. That creates differences, but that's why you create new original perspectives through the radio feedback that you actually get. Most of them over time, normal tech will seem primitive, but that's just dominant, but that's threatening. So we should treat tech as a more respected, but that's why we should go back to more primitive designs, but also use the stuff we have today as untouchable. But we still touch it. We still touch the tech today. But anyways, we're not talking about tech. We're talking about 4th grade. Oh, not 4th grade. 14th grade, right? So the modular structure kind of leads back depending on how you view it. See, you could have a nodular shape that goes but comes back as another shape, but leads back to the same symbol it had. So it's kind of like revisiting the same area in a different form. It's multidimensional, so you stack in multiple areas, but kind of leads back to the same place, kind of like the backrooms. So that's how personal development can be visualized as. Development doesn't have a maze that is at the same position as it was earlier. It goes and comes back exactly where you were. It's almost dreamlike. Personal development is almost dreamlike, so it shouldn't be treated that way. It should be accurate. But the only way to make it more accurate is to include modular thought processes that help pertubes, and visualization, concentration, mediation. Don't focus on meditation because we've already done too much of that. But that should be more stable, predefined, pre-meditation area. And that is going to become the next visualization update. But, yeah. Anyways, for PE class, for 14th grade, we're going to focus more on playing basketball and soccer in our minds, and also in actual video game quality, or like just visualizing how a basket goes in the hoop. or visualizing how the square is positioned, and do that for a long time, and you'll be able to track its position. Basketball is completely sort of tag based, so depending on where you put your hand on the ball, it will land in the hoop. And depending on your stance in that structure. But I'm gonna improve at this. So see you guys.